2008, I was attending a panel discussion on sustainable food at Harvard University in the storied faculty room of University Hall. The purpose of the panel was to promote and celebrate good food, so we were served tasty hors d'oeuvres carefully sourced from local farmers and fishermen, beginning with demi-tasse cups of a delicious scallop chowder from Cape Cod Bay. The featured speakers were a celebrity restaurateur from the San Francisco Bay Area, a playwright from New York, and the young leader of Slow Food USA. It didn't take long for all three to reach a lockstep conclusion. In the future, they said, sustainable food would have to be organic, local, and slow. Definitely not fast or industrial. Those at the event nodded their heads in assent, but I had a different take, having just returned from a research trip to rural Africa. I had been interviewing farmers in Uganda who were trapped inside a food system that was entirely organic, local, and slow. The women I had spoken with, most African farmers are women, did not know it, but they were living an extreme version of the Harvard dream. They were organic because they could not afford any nitrogen fertilizer. Their food was all local because the rutted dirt roads made transport almost impossible during the rainy season, and their daily food preparation tasks were laboriously slow. Before cooking a porridge meal for their family, these women had to strip, soak, dry, and then pound the maize kernels into flour, then carry in wood to build a fire, plus water for the pot. Despite these efforts, many of their children were stunted from poor nutrition. Farmers are important to me for personal as well as professional reasons. Both of my parents were from a farming background, and as a young teenager in the summer months, I worked on my uncle's Indiana farm, alongside my older brother and two cousins. We got up early to feed the cattle and hogs in the dark, before sitting down to our own breakfast. My cousins were still too young to drive a car, but they were handling powered machinery, working with animals 4 times their size, and they already knew things about farming well beyond the ken of most playwrights or big city restaurateurs. Discussions of food today can quickly turn into discussions about farming. Consumers not only want food to be tasty, safe, nutritious, and affordable, they also want it to come from farms that protect the natural environment, respect the welfare of animals, help sustain rural communities, and give hired workers a living wage. I share all of these goals, but my prescriptions differ from the Harvard panel's dream. My research experience tells me not to yearn for an organic, local, or slow food system, since that would mean abandoning a century's worth of modern science. It would force farmers to accept more toil and less income. Consumers would be given fewer nutritious food choices, and greater destruction would be done to the natural environment. All this will be explained. The use of modern science is broadly welcomed in medicine, transport, and communications, yet it has become strangely controversial in food production. Many of my friends in Massachusetts, where I live and work, hold a view that modern farming has become far too industrial. They agree with Mark Bittman, a former New York Times columnist, who blames industrial farming for having spawned an obesity crisis, poisoned countless volumes of land and water, wasted energy, tortured billions of animals. They would also agree with Philip Limbury, the author of Farmageddon, who concludes that every day there is a new confirmation of how destructive, inefficient, wasteful, cruel, and unhealthy the industrial agriculture machine is. We need a total rethink of our food and farming systems before it's too late. As their preferred alternative, many of my friends imagine a return to small, local, and chemical-free, organic farms. These farms should produce a traditional mix of both crops and animals, as opposed to the specialized industrial-scale farms that today produce just 1 or 2 crops and probably have no animals at all. When it comes to buying food, my friends would rather not be seen shopping in supermarkets, since too many items on the shelf are heavily processed or have traveled too many food miles. Their ideal, when they have plenty of time, is to buy unprocessed foods directly from local growers at a farmer's market, or from a community-supported agriculture (CSA) farm. They admire Alice Waters, proprietor of the acclaimed Chez Panisse restaurant in Berkeley. She was one of the speakers on the 2008 Harvard panel, who states with pride that she has not set foot in a supermarket for the past 25 years. I hear all this, but I'm not persuaded. I want a food solution that works for all, including people who live on a budget and those without a lot of spare time. Dinners at Chez Panisse must be a wonderful experience, but they start at more than $100, not including the wine. Buying fresh produce at a farmer's market is rewarding in season, but even then it means a separate trip to get needed products local farms don't grow. Assembling healthy meals from fresh, unprocessed ingredients is a joy for many, but the time required for shopping, preparation, and cleanup may be too much for a single parent with school-age kids. Food solutions should also make sense for farmers. Here is where the organic approach creates problems, since it tells farmers they cannot use manufactured nitrogen fertilizers. True, all farming worked that way before synthetic fertilizers were first developed early in the 20th century, but it made food production less abundant and needlessly laborious. Most farmers in the United States don't want to turn the clock back, which is why only 1% of their land has been converted to organic production methods.